Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of NASCAR Underdogs, Chad Little. Chad Little is a former NASCAR Cup Series, Busch Series, now O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, Craftsman Truck Series, Winston West Series, now ARCA Menards West Series, and late model driver who competed from 1985 through 2001. Throughout his career, Little made starts for some notable teams, including Junie Donlavey Racing, Cale Yarborough Motorsports, Melling Racing, BACE Motorsports, and Roush Racing. Little got his start racing short tracks in Washington State during the mid-1980s. Before long, he began racing late models up and down the entire west coast of the United States, in the NASCAR Northwest Series and the Winston West Series. Little debuted in the Northwest Series at Evergreen Speedway in the spring of 1985, behind the wheel of George Jefferson's number 26 Coors Ford, starting third, leading 36 laps, and finishing 29th after an overheating issue ended his race early on lap 75. Altogether, in 1985, Chad Little made 10 Northwest Series starts. His best start was third at Evergreen in the spring. His best finish was second at Yakima in the summer. Overall, in 10 starts, Little scored 4 top 5s and 4 top 10s, finishing 14th in final NASCAR Northwest Series point standings. That same season, he also made his Winston West Series debut at Northwest Speedway in the summer, also behind the wheel of Jefferson's number 26 Oldsmobile. Little's best start was 6th, and his best finish was 14th, both coming at Northwest Raceway in the summer. Overall, in 4 Winston West Series starts, Little scored 1 top 15 and 3 top 20s, finishing 23rd in final Winston West Series point standings. For the 1986 season, Chad Little returned to the Northwest Series, running all but one of the season's 15 races, 12 behind the wheel of George Jefferson's number 26 Northland Peterbilt Ford, and 2 behind the wheel of a number 04 Rainwater Insurance Pontiac. Little's best start was first at Victoria in the summer, and his best finish was first twice at both races at Victoria. His first victory at Victoria was his first career victory in the Northwest Series. Overall, in 14 starts, he scored 1 pole, 2 wins, 8 top 5s, and 10 top 10s, finishing 5th in final NASCAR Northwest Series point standings. Also returning to the Winston West Series, behind the wheel of Jefferson's number 26 Northland Peterbilt Ford, running all 8 races on the 1986 schedule. Little's best start was 5th at Calgary in the summer, and his best finish was 1st at Evergreen Speedway in the summer. This was Little's first career Winston West Series victory. Overall, in 8 starts, he scored 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, finishing 2nd in final Winston West Series point standings, winning the 1986 Winston West Series Rookie of the Year honors. The 2 Winston West Series races held at Riverside International Raceway in 1986 doubled as the NASCAR Cup Series races as well. Therefore, Chad Little also made his Cup Series debut at Riverside, running the early summer race at the track, starting 25th and finishing 13th. 3 laps off the pace. The following season, in 1987, Little returned to the Northwest Series, full-time, making 14 out of the 15 starts throughout the season, all behind the wheel of Jefferson's number 26 Coors Ford. Chad's father, Chuck Little, served as his crew chief during this time period. Little's best start was first at Olympia in the summer, and his best finish was second twice at Coos Bay in the spring and Evergreen in the late summer. Overall, in 14 starts, he scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 6 top 5s, and 10 top 10s, finishing 5th in final NASCAR Northwest Series point standings. Also returning to the Winston West Series, running the full 8-race schedule in 1987. Behind the wheel of George Jefferson's number 95 Coors Ford. Little's best start was second at Spokane in the summer, and his best finish was first twice at Portland and Tacoma in the summer. Overall, in 8 starts, he scored 2 wins, 6 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, winning the 1987 Winston West Series championship. Once again, the 2 Winston West Series races at Riverside doubled as Cup Series races. Little's best start was 29th in the spring, and his best finish was 15th both races. Things were pretty similar for Chad Little in 1988, making starts in 8 out of 14 events on the NASCAR Northwest Series schedule, behind the wheel of a number 19 Coors Extra Gold Ford, owned by George Jefferson and Fred Stoke. Little's best start was first twice at both Victoria races. His best finish was first at Victoria in the spring. Overall, in 8 starts, Little scored 2 poles, 1 win, 5 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, finishing 15th in final NASCAR Northwest Series point standings. Also running the full Winston West Series schedule in 1988, behind the wheel of number 19, Coors Extra Gold Ford. Little's best start was first twice at Spokane in the early summer and Mesa Martin in the late summer. His best finish was first at Evergreen in the summer. Overall, in 8 starts, Little scored 2 poles, 1 win, 2 top 5s, and 4 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Winston West Series point standings. In the Cup Series, Chad Little made 4 starts, all behind the wheel of number 19 Ford. His best start was 16th at Riverside in the early summer, and his best finish was 15th at Dover in the fall. Overall, in 4 Cup Series starts, Little scored 1 top 15 and 2 top 20s. Eligible to run for the NASCAR Cup Series Rookie of the Year honors in 1989, Little signed on to drive the number 90 Ford for Junie Donlavey. Little's best start was 17th at Richmond in the spring, and his best finish was 18th at Charlotte in the spring. After just 10 starts, Chad Little was released early from his contract. Overall, in 10 NASCAR Cup Series starts, Little scored 1 top 20. Also making 1 Winston West Series start at Evergreen in the summer, starting 2nd, leading 375 laps on his way to finishing 1st, as well as making 3 NASCAR Northwest Series starts behind the wheel of a number 33 Lavitz Blue Pontiac. Little's best start was 5th twice at Evergreen in the summer and Victoria in the late summer. His best finish was 3rd at Victoria in the late summer. Overall, in 3 NASCAR Northwest Series starts, Little scored 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. Finally, in 1990, Chad Little was able to make the jump up to the NASCAR Cup Series, attempting 21 events, qualifying 18 times, behind the wheel of a family-owned number 19 Bullseye Barbecue Sauce Ford. Little's best start was 14th at Michigan in the late summer. His best finish was 15th at Talladega in the spring. Overall, in 18 starts, he scored 1 top 15 and 7 top 20s, finishing 33rd in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Also returning to the Winston West Series, making a one-off start at Evergreen in the summer, behind the wheel of a self-owned number 18 Red Baron Frozen Pizza Ford, starting 5th, leading 36 laps, before finishing 15th, over 100 laps off the pace. In 1991, Chad Little ran his first full-time season in the NASCAR Cup Series, behind the wheel of his family-owned number 19 Bullseye Barbecue Sauce Tyson Foods Ford. Club champion began the season as Chad's crew chief, though after missing the spring race in North Wilkesboro, he was released and replaced by Harry Hyde for the remainder of the season. Little's best start was 4th at Bristol in the late summer, and his best finish was 10th at Charlotte in the fall. Overall, in 28 starts, Little scored 1 top 10, 7 top 15s, and 10 top 20s, finishing 27th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. In another one-off start in the Winston West Series at Evergreen in the summer, behind the wheel of a family-owned number 19 Red Baron Frozen Pizza Ford, starting 3rd and leading 80 laps before a lap 180 accident ended his race early, forcing him to finish 24th. During the 1992 season, Little made 19 NASCAR Cup Series starts for 2 different race teams. The first 6 starts of the season were made behind the wheel of Cale Yarborough Motorsports number 66 Troparctic Ford. While Little drove that number 66, Bob Johnson served as his crew chief. His best start was 14th at Daytona in the spring, and his best finish was 22nd at Rockingham in the spring. Then, starting at race 11 in Dover, Little made 13 starts behind the wheel of Harry Melling's number 9 Ford. While Little was driving that number 9, Gene Roberts served as his crew chief. Little's best start was 12th, and his best finish was 8th, both coming at Talladega in the summer. Overall, 19 starts, he scored 1 top 10, 1 top 15, and 4 top 20s, finishing 31st in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Chad made his Busch Series, now O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, debut at Watkins Glen in the summer, behind the wheel of a number 37 Max Race Cards Oldsmobile, starting 29th and following a blown engine on lap 30, he finished 29th. Little also made a one-off start in the NASCAR Busch North Series at Oxford Plains Speedway in the summer, behind the wheel of number 91 Motorsports designed Chevrolet. Starting 42nd, then following a mechanical failure, he finished 31st, as well as making a one-off start in the Winston West Series at Evergreen in the summer. Behind the wheel of a family-owned number 19 Red Baron's Frozen Pizza, Ford. Starting first, leading 31 laps en route to finishing third. 1993 was a bit of a transitional year for Chad Little, only making 3 NASCAR Cup Series starts, 2 behind the wheel of Harry Melling's number 9 Ford. His best start was 17th, and his best finish was 24th, both coming at Daytona in the spring. Then later in the season, Little made a one-off start for Greg Pollux. Behind the wheel was the number 19 Ford, starting 39th and finishing 33rd. In the Busch Series, Little made 12 starts throughout the season, making starts at an increased frequency as the season drew on. Behind the wheel of a number 23 Bear Select Ford, owned by Greg Pollux and former NFL quarterback Mark Rypien, forming Mark Rypien Motorsports. Fred Wanke served as his crew chief in 1993. Little's best start was second at Talladega in the summer. His best finish was second at Dover in the early summer. Overall, in 12 starts, Little scored 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s, finishing 32nd in final Busch Series point standings. He made his final career Winston West Series start in 93 at Evergreen in the summer, behind the wheel of a number 19 Red Baron Frozen Pizza Ford, owned by Mark Rypien. Starting 10th, leading 81 laps on his way to finishing second. Little returned to full-time competition in the NASCAR Busch Series in 1994, making 28 starts behind the wheel of a number 23 Bayer Select Harris Teeter Ford for Mark Rypien Motorsports, spending the first half of the season between 3rd and 12th in point standings. The second half of the season, he spent working his way up from 9th to 3rd in points. Little's best start was 3rd at Dover in the early summer, and his best finish was 2nd in Michigan in the late summer. Overall, in 28 starts, he scored 10 top 5s and 14 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Busch Series point standings. In the Cup Series, Chad Little made a one-off start in the 1994 Daytona 500, behind the wheel of a number 97 Tracy Lawrence Ford, starting 17th, leading 1 lap and finishing 29th, 4 laps off the pace. After a solid season, Little returned to the number 23 Bayer Harris Teeter Ford full-time in the Busch Series once again. In 1995, Gary Cogswell served as his crew chief for the 95 season, leading the series point standings for 3 weeks during the season, spending the entire 26th race season between 1st and 3rd in point standings. Little's best start was 1st at Richmond in the spring, and his best finish was 1st 6 times, at Daytona, Rockingham, Loudon, and Charlotte in the spring, then Talladega and South Boston in the summer. Overall, in 26 starts, Little scored 1 pole, 6 wins, 11 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, finishing 2nd in final Busch Series point standings. As far as the NASCAR Cup Series, he made 5 attempts, qualifying twice, behind the wheel of a number 97 Ford from Mark Rypien Motorsports. Little's best start was 17th at Charlotte in the spring, and his best finish was 18th at Talladega in the summer. With the formation of the Craftsman Truck Series in 1995, Chad Little made his one and only career series start at Richmond in the fall, behind the wheel of a number 11 Itco Tire Ford, owned by Mike Holbert. Starting 26th, and after a transmission issue on lap 125 ended his race early, he finished 32nd. Remaining behind the wheel of Pollux and Rypien's number 23 John Deere Pontiac full-time in the Busch Series in 1996. Harold Holley served as Little's crew chief for the 96 season. This season was way down from the season before, though I'm sure it had something to do with the manufacturer swap. Little's best start was 1st at Bristol in the spring. His best finish was 3rd at Richmond in the fall. Overall, in 26 starts, he scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 7 top 10s, finishing 5th in final Busch Series point standings. In the Cup Series, Little made 9 starts throughout the season for 2 different race teams, 5 behind the wheel of Pollux and Rypien's number 97 Sterling Cowboy Pontiac. His best start was 6th at Charlotte in the spring, and his best finish was 22nd twice at Charlotte and Atlanta in the fall. Then 4 starts behind the wheel of Gary Bechtel's number 29 Cartoon Network Chevrolet. His best start was 7th, and his best finish was 20th, both coming at Darlington in the fall. In 1997, Pollux and Rypien moved their race team up to the NASCAR Cup Series full-time. Chad Little and the number 23 Busch Series team for 1996 became the number 97 John Deere Pontiac. In 1997, Harold Hawley continued as Little's crew chief in 97, though after they would D&Q 5 out of the first 13 races, Pollux and Rypien made the decision to sell their Cup Series team. In August, Jack Roush became the new owner of the number 97 race team, making 27 starts, spending the season between 36th and 44th in point standings. Little's best start was 4th at Loudon in the summer, and his best finish was 8th at Bristol in the spring. Overall, in 27 starts, Little scored 1 top 10, 2 top 15s, and 7 top 20s, finishing 36th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Little's first full-time NASCAR Cup Series season driving Roush Racing equipment was 1998, behind the wheel of their number 97 John Deere Ford full-time. Jeff Hammond served as his crew chief while driving the number 97, spending the 98 season between 8th and 23rd in points. Little's best start was 4th at Loudon in the summer, and his best finish was 2nd at Texas in the spring. Overall, in 32 starts, Little scored 1 top 5 and 7 top 10s, finishing 15th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Back in the Busch Series, Little made a one-off start in Roush Racing's number 9 track gear Ford at Darlington in the fall, starting 6th and finishing 30th. The 1999 NASCAR Cup Series season started off pretty strong for Chad Little, reprising his role as driver of Roush Racing's number 97 John Deere Ford. He spent the first 4 weeks of the season in the top 10 in point standings, before slowly falling the rest of the season to 23rd in points. Little's best start was 4th at Daytona in the summer. His best finish was 6th twice, at Michigan in the late summer and Atlanta in the fall. Overall, in 34 starts, Little scored 5 top 10s, finishing 23rd in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. As the sport entered into a brand new century, the 2000s, in the year 2000, Chad Little returned to the NASCAR Cup Series for what was intended to be a full season. Though following Jack Roush giving Kurt Busch a 3-race tryout in the team's number 97, Roush had Little back for one more start before Busch replaced him full-time behind the wheel of that number 97. Making 27 starts throughout the 2000 season, Little's best start was 13th and his best finish was 6th, both coming at Atlanta in the spring. Overall, in 27 starts, Little scored 1 top 10, 5 top 15s, and 14 top 20s. In the Busch Series, he made 10 attempts, qualifying 4 times throughout the season, making 6 attempts, qualifying twice behind the wheel of George Debedart's number 30 Little Tree Chevrolet. His best start was 22nd, and his best finish was 12th, both coming at California in the spring. In a one-off start in Cowell's number 97 McDonald's Ford and Michigan in the late summer, Little started 11th and finished 10th. He made 3 attempts in Bill Baumgartner's number 74 Chevrolet, qualifying for the fall Rockingham race, starting 35th and finishing 32nd. For the 2001 season, Chad Little returned to the Busch Series full-time, behind the wheel of Bill Baumgartner's number 74 Staff America Chevrolet. Eddie Pardue served as Little's crew chief in 2001, spending the first half of the season between 9th and 13th in points, and the second half of the season between 8th and 10th in points. Little's best start was 10th at Nashville Superspeedway in the spring. His best finish was 3rd at IRP in the late summer. Overall, in 33 starts, Little scored 2 top 5s and 6 top 10s, finishing 9th in final Busch Series point standings. This was the final time Chad Little would finish inside the top 10 in Busch Series point standings. The final season that Little would make starts in NASCAR was 2002, making the first 3 Busch Series starts of the season behind the wheel of Bill Baumgartner's number 74 Staff America Chevrolet. Little's best start was 14th, and his best finish was 14th, both coming at Daytona in the spring. Then in the NASCAR Cup Series, Little made 3 attempts, qualifying for 1 race, behind the wheel of Baumgartner's number 74 Staff America Chevrolet, at Dover in the early summer, starting 36th and finishing 33rd. Little retired from active competition at the conclusion of the 2002 season. In 2004, Chad Little would call several Craftsman Truck Series and Busch Series races from the commentator booth, later becoming involved in the NASCAR of Mexico Series providing technical support. Starting in the 2015 season, Little became Managing Director of Technical Inspection and Officiating in the Craftsman Truck Series. Overall, in 217 NASCAR Cup Series starts, Little scored 1 top 5 and 16 top 10s, with the best points finish of 15th in 1998. In 134 Busch Series starts, he scored 1 pole, 6 wins, 27 top 5s, and 44 top 10s, with the best points finish of 2nd in 1995. Little made 1 Craftsman Truck Series start. In 33 Winston West Series starts, he scored 3 poles, 5 wins, 16 top 5s, and 19 top 10s, winning the 1987 Winston West Series Championship. In 49 NASCAR Northwest Series starts, Little scored 4 poles, 3 wins, 25 top 5s, and 33 top 10s, with the best points finish of 5th twice in 1986 and 1987. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.